It's really easy to make odd time grooves sound bad, like really bad. But there are a few tricks that you can use to make them sound so much better, and you'd be surprised at just how simple they are. When we're playing an everyday normal 4/4 time, we're happy, we're free, we're on top of the world. But throw a 5/8 or a 7/8 in there, and often drummers can crumble into ungroovy messes. There are so many things that we do in 4/4 that we can just transplant and play in any odd time signature. One of those things is to play in 2-bar phrases. 2-bar phrases are everywhere in music. They're in all styles and all genres, and creating one can be as simple as moving a bass drum or adding a hi-hat lift. So let's do the same thing in an odd time signature. Let's choose 7/8. Start with 8th notes on the hi-hat, and then add a snare drum on 3 and 7, and a bass drum on 1 and 5. Sounds pretty stiff, right? Well, now let's move the bass drum in the second bar. This is going to create a 2-bar groove. Notice how it sounds more organic and more human feeling. It's just more pleasing to listen to. You can do the same thing with hi-hat lifts and ghost notes. So go ahead and make your own 2-bar phrases in an odd time signature, and don't stop there. You can do 4-bar phrases as well, just as easy. A lot of odd time grooves follow the same old underlying rhythmic structures. In 7/8, it could be this. And in 5/8, it's usually something like this. But by changing the starting rhythm, you give yourself a fresh perspective, and you'll spark new and more interesting ideas. So let's start with a simple groove in 7/8. Take the bass drum, and instead of playing it on 5, let's shift it back to beat 4. Now let's try and shift it from beat 5 to beat 6. Now, it's not just the bass drum that can move. We can also vary the snare drum position. So what I really like to do is take the snare drum from 7 and shift it back 1/16 to the and of 6. It sounds like this. Create a half-time feel in 7/8 by taking the bass drum, playing it on 1, and then waiting till beat 5 to play the solitaire snare drum. That one also sounds really cool. These are all pretty simple changes, but they can spark different ideas and lead you down different creative paths, which is the whole point. Now that we've dealt with the kick and the snare, the third thing we can do to spice up our odd time grooves is to vary the hi-hat pattern. Usually if we're playing in any odd time signature, we just stick to 8th notes on the hi-hat, but that can get really boring. There's nothing stopping us playing 16th notes, or broken rhythms, or even triplets, but more on those triplets later. Playing one-handed 16th note grooves is one of my favorite things to do on the drums. So let's just transplant those 16th notes on top of our 7/8 halftime, and you get this awesome groove. Now previously I mentioned triplets, and yes, you can play triplets in 7/8. So let's play one of the most famous triplet grooves on the drums, and that is the half-time shuffle. But let's do it in 7/8. Take each 8th note of the hi-hat and turn it into a shuffle rhythm. Then add a backbeat on 3 and 7, and finally throw in some bass drums. Now if you add in some ghost notes, some hi-hat lifts, you're going to get a pretty awesome sounding halftime shuffle, but it's just in 7/8. One of the biggest problems with odd time grooves is that they sound, well, odd. It can often sound like you've just dropped a beat and forgot to play it. To solve this oddness, we can use a concept called overriding. Overriding is where you play an even pulse, let's say quarter notes, over the top of an odd time signature like 7/8 or 5/8. This has the effect of smoothing out the beat and making it more palatable and more danceable. So an easy way to get into overriding is, funnily enough, to use the ride cymbal. Play one note on the bell, followed by one note on the bow. That creates our 2-beat pattern. So that's just bell, bow, bell, bow. Now as you're continually playing that, count up to 7.
5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Now if you just add in a kick and a snare drum pattern, congratulations, you've just started overriding, and your odd time grooves are going to sound so much smoother and so much better. Now you can just as easily do this with 16ths, just like in 7 Days by Sting. Now that song is in 5/8, and Vinny plays 16th notes on the hi-hat with a kick on the 1 and a rim click on 4. And he smooths it out by playing a quarter note accent, or the first of every 4 16th notes. So that's 4 ways that you can play better odd time grooves. But if you want to play every single odd time signature, then you need to watch this video so that you can master them once and for all.